Hey y'all, my name is Jasmine Jones. I am a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing Swarm, and we are sipping on vodka and cranberry juice. Good old undergrad college special. Yes. How y'all doing? So, I'm getting the Swarm today, so most likely I'll download it tomorrow or upload it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday, so y'all getting double features and shit. Cause no, these are black women, and these black women look like me, bitch. We're doing this, so let's get into it. So Swarm stars, I think her name is Dominique Fishbank. Whatever her last name is, she's amazing. I have loved her acting prowess for a long time, and she just be acting, and she acted. She acted some in this motherfucker. Yes, she did. I'm excited to see where she go next, and what she do next, and what she create next. I think she gonna be in some superhero movie next or some shit. I'm gonna watch it just cause she in it. She's amazing. So she is this girl called Dre. And I was trying to research, since I want to get what I think the diagnosis is right. So first I start off with autism. Because she displays, like, in the beginning of the show, she displays, like, poor attention to social cues, and poor eye contact, and invasion of space, and, just kind of seeming to not understand certain social cues and things like that. But then I looked up reactive attachment disorder, and reactive attachment disorder can look like autism. And the only difference with reactive attachment disorder is there has to be trauma in the past. With autism, there doesn't have to be trauma for the child to, display those symptoms. And so I'm leaning more towards reactive attachment disorder. Not to say that I don't think she doesn't have like a delay or something, but it makes sense with how she went from in the beginning of the movie, like getting in people's spaces and being awkward and weird and saying things at the wrong time and just standing there ogling and staring at things for no reason, seemingly. To becoming a whole stud and being able to mask and pretend. But I'm still kind of inching back towards, autism, just because, like, she could have mirrored and figured out how to socialize a little bit better. Or she could just have learned to socialize a little bit better and decided to mask. So, masking could go for both reactive attachment disorder or autism. And then there's the sociopathy. So reactive attachment disorder tends to be a child that has been severely traumatized. And they don't learn how to attach properly to people in general. Specifically to their loved ones or to people that are supposed to be their caregivers. Usually it's their caregivers that have developed this poor attachment in the child, so the caregivers are most likely abusive and things like that. We know that Dre used to live with her grandmother. We know that there was some incident where she spilled the milk, but milk isn't red, so that may have been the initial incident that got her out of the home, where she may have hurt her grandmother or hurt someone in the home. They didn't go into detail about what happened. It just said she spilled the milk, and her grandmother said, "What happened?" And she looked down, and the color of the milk was red. So not sure yet. She has, so the poor attachment to others develops into this insecure attachment. So you can be overly just anxiously attached to people and just glom on to people and become obsessed with people and being around people and become codependent on people and things like that. You can have a severe avoidant attachment where you just avoid anything that has to do with emotions. You don't like to talk about emotion, like to keep yourself separate from people and things like that. And those things in childhood can develop into personality disorders like sociopathy, or it's called antisocial personality disorder, narcissism, what is it? Borderline disorder, what was histrionic disorder. So those, cluster B, personality disorder. So it would make sense that she would develop some kind of, something based off of the traumas she's experienced. Now, that something doesn't always have to be so extroverted where you're harming others. That something could just be like her sister, who was, it seemed, depressed and suicidal and things like that. So it can be more introverted and turned inward. And so another reason why I am oscillating between reactive attachment disorder and autism is because of her fixations. But that could also just be an obsession that could be attached to her reactive attachment disorder. But she's fixated on this Nija character. And I just want to say kudos to the black woman writing room on this movie. Donald Glover directed, produced, whatever. But kudos to the black woman writing room for putting dark-skinned black woman, darker skin, brown skin, not light as day, and black woman on a movie and giving us feelings and emotions and stories and it just this week has been so fulfilling. I don't care. And so it just seems like her fixations, or the obsessions, or are they both? We're not really sure here, but she has fixated on Nija, and that's what I was going to say. So Nija is basically supposed to represent like a Beyonce type character, and I was just like, wouldn't it be nice if there was a dark-skinned woman that was a global celebrity like Beyonce? Wouldn't that be nice? Because all the global celebrities that represent black people, Beyonce, Prince, Michael Jackson, Rihanna, they're all light-skinned. And that bothers me. Because, we had Whitney Houston, kind of Brandy. I don't know if she was as, like, I don't know if people in Japan were falling over their feet for Brandy. But I know that she had kind of a global spread. But it's just like, they put her as a dark-skinned black woman, and I was just like, a part of me felt like, I laughed. I was like, that shit ain't gonna happen. Look at this fake shit. And I was just like, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help feeling that way. I was just like, that shit's not gonna, that's fake. That is fake. And the world is not going to accept a dark-skinned black woman as a global superstar, where you got people in Germany, in France, in Africa, in Nigeria, in the Congo, all over the fucking world, damn near passing out if this motherfucker glances at them. No. It could happen. The world is ever evolving. Look, we had a week where 2 black woman-led shows were released, and they're getting really high acclaim. So you know what? Let me shut the. It could happen, but I was just like, side-eyeing that Nija character, like, okay. Black woman-led writing room. I know. I feel like they're just saying what the people want, what darker-skinned black women want. Just like giving us our dreams and hopes and things. So anyways, she has this fixation on this Nija character. She's a singer, does Beyonce-like songs, all this other shit. And so her and her sister have liked Nija since they were younger. And so that was something that was really a bond for them, a connection for them. But her sister grew out of it because, as you do. But Andrea has a fixation on Nija, and she has a fixation on her sister. They have this kind of codependent relationship. Her sister always has to watch out for her and take care of her and do all these other things. And you can see the building frustration in Chloe's character as she's dealing with Dre throughout the first episode. Just like, she has her watch the booth for the night so she can go and do makeup at the mall. And she got distracted because... And I was just like... Because you're supposed to be able to, she can say no to anything else, and if she don't want to do something. It's just, I don't know if she just wasn't thinking about the kiosk or whatever, or she didn't care that much about it, or she didn't even consider that it would be robbed. But anyways, Chloe's little boyfriend comes and is like, oh, let me talk to you. And so she just walks off and leaves the kiosk and the merchandise and the monies and the things. Out in the open. They're at the Carson Mall. I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, look at the Carson Mall getting a little bit of money. See, that's nice. And so she walks out to some store with him. And he trying to mac with her and shit. And he asking her these questions. And then she replying like she got a delay or some shit. And he like, are you 12? Because she's all like, you said Nigel was stupid. And I was just like, he's like, are you what? Are you 12? And I'm just like, been knowing this bitch for at least a few weeks. You know she got a little bit of a delay or something going on. Why are you acting surprised? You trying to get up on her because she got a little bit of a delay and don't know what's going on sometimes. So, or you think she don't know what's going on. It could just be reactive attachment disorder and she ain't got no delay and she just don't know how to attach to people and talk to people and communicate to people, and that's it. So you think she don't know, but she might actually know. Okay. She might actually understand this social cue. And you over here looking stupid. That's why she killed your ass. So anyways, she like, nah, I'm good, and goes back to the booth. And the booth is robbed. And so like Chloe find out, she mad. She gonna go stay at what's his name? Samson's house. Isn't that his name? Samson Idris? Whatever that black man name is, it's on Snowfall. I don't watch this show. I don't like gang shows anymore. I just like fantasy and romance and horror. So if there are black shows or movie that involve fantasy, romance, and horror, that's up my alley. So I don't watch Snowfall, but I've seen, niggas be talking about it. I know who he is. So she like goes and stays with this nigga. She telling this girl that she gonna move in with him and shit, and the girl having a whole breakdown. She like, no, don't leave me, please. Rub it on her face, doing all this weird shit. This bitch can act. I was just like, is she acting? I feel like because when okay, so she leaves and then like she like soothes herself by watching a Nija video, some kind of fabulous celebration, something, the name of the thing, and she watching the video getting all hype and shit. And so she go to the club while her sister gone, and she find whatchamacallit, Macaulay Culkin's brother to have a one night. It was Macaulay Culkin's brother. Like, what the fuck? I was like, when he stood up at the bed the next day, I was like, is that Macaulay Culkin's brother? I was like, oh, look at him all grown up and being an adult and shit. So she has a one night stand with Macaulay Culkin's brother. And then she goes home and her tickets are there. So she, somehow got a credit card, got a company to send her a credit card. And she bought Nija tickets, front row seats, for $1,800 for her and her sister for her birthday. Her sister told her the night before that she is going with her boyfriend on her birthday on a trip to Atlanta or some shit. She don't want them funky ass tickets. She's just like, it's just a singer. It's not that big of a deal. And this is supposed to be like her commentary on like getting obsessed with famous people. And I just be like, I be looking at Beyonce and I be like, how do you live like that? Like, you can't even go to Target. Shit, like you can't have a regular life and just live, and this is just your job that you do because you enjoy art. So as soon as you enjoy art, as soon as you decide to sell it, then that means that you as a person don't belong to yourself anymore. Like, it's just the art. Like, take the songs and leave me the fuck alone. Like, what's wrong with me? And so it's like this commentary on obsessed fans, but I feel like it's more like it's a commentary on obsessed fans, and I can see that. But like how people with severe mental health issues or personality disorders will attach themselves and become obsessed to things, and you are more likely to become obsessed with the things that you see the most. And so she could have picked anything. Her and her sister could have liked ice cream. And their favorite thing was ice cream. And that's what they did together. So she connects ice cream to her sister. And she goes on a killing spree on all the people that doesn't like her favorite ice cream and be posting shit on her favorite ice cream company Twitter. It could have been anything. That's how mental health works. You just attach yourself to something. That's why I don't be, paying no smoke to racism and shit like that. No, that's just a response to your mental health issues. It literally could have been anything you could have picked to respond to to respond to your mental health issues. Like your family could have been alcoholics and you could just drink a lot. But no, you happen to be raised in the racist family. So you just perpetuate that because you don't like yourself. And that's what I look at it as. And so I don't really, that's what helps me not internalize shit. I just be like, oh, this could have been anything that you picked to put your shit on. So I'm not even gonna be like, mm-mm. And so her sister is like telling her, I don't like Naja like that. Like, I want to go with my boyfriend. It's not that serious. And she just is like, what? And so she go fuck Macaulay Culkin, his brother. I forgot his brother's name, but I knew that was his brother. And then fuck Macaulay Culkin, shut up, bitch. And then like she goes back home to like she got her tickets, and so she goes back home and she wants to show her sister. So she go in the room and Chloe laying there on the bed, right? And she like, look, I got the tickets. I got bop bop bop, and then the girl dead. And I don't know how she died. It looked like there was some blood behind her head on the pillow, but like they said at some point that she may have committed suicide. So I could see that. She's tried before. Obviously, she has scars on her, wrist situation, and so that would make sense. Yeah, and so she basically was like, she had a whole meltdown, girl. Like, she had a whole meltdown and was crying for days. And she went to the funeral. The family didn't want her there. We find out later on in the movie that she is a foster child that they took in. And then her and Chloe just became like stuck together like glue. And they got stuck together like glue over Nigel. But she was always the weird kid that everybody was looking at like, what's wrong with her? Why is she following Chloe around? Why is she da-da-da-da? And why is she just standing there staring? And she did this talent show where she was like singing in like a little cowboy talking about she a redneck and all this weird shit. And I was like, girl, you're black. Like, even in the South, like, I've never heard of a Southern person calling themselves a redneck. I'm just saying. A Southern black person. I've never heard a Southern black person call themselves a redneck. And my family's from Texas, so I don't know what why. So see, there's some missing when it comes to like social cues and things, but they shouldn't have been making fun of her the way they were. She would get picked on. There was a sleepover situation where she tried to stab somebody. Well, she didn't try. She stabbed somebody because these little white girls jumped on her sister with a bunch of pillows and shit. And it sounded like the little white girl was bullying her. And I just feel the type of way. I just feel like she was trying to defend her sister, but she went overboard and stabbed the little girl in the neck and shit. And I'm just like, that's overboard. But I could see why, though. Like, they all jumped her. Like, it could have been a joke. Like, it probably, they do shit like that at sleepovers, pile on top of bitches with the pillows and the stuff and things like that. But like, oh no, the girl was giving me racist vibes. I didn't like her. So she was just looked at as the odd person, and they had this episode where they made it like a true crime, and I love the detective on the episode. I was just like, we need more of her. Like, we need her on the real true crime shit. So apparently this show is like based on some glued together true stories, and they use them as examples to make this whole story. And I just hope that, it wasn't like obvious enough for the families of the true stories would be triggered by that. Because I googled it when they said it kept saying it was a true story, and it was like, oh no, it's glued together stories of other people's families stories. And I'm just like, I'm assuming we got releases and we are something or it's just not obvious enough, or I don't know. But so they did this episode where they showed the real story behind Andrea, and they show the real Andrea and her real sister, and they and basically they just do this whole background story on her life and all this other stuff. And basically she came from some adoptive situation, a foster care situation, and she went through a bunch of violence and abuse. And they didn't go into detail because they talked to her caseworker, and her caseworker, as she should, was like, I'm not telling you that this is a client. Just like in Unprison, like I was saying, Clients have rights and confidentialities and things like that. You can't just be going and like, you have to have a warrant from a court to get a client's files and things like that. You can't just go, a detective, a beat cop, whatever, to the social worker office or the community, whatever that was, and the foster care office, adoption agent off, whatever, and you can't do that. Okay, I'm just saying. And so like that, but it sounded like she had some horrible shit happen to her, and so her and her sister were just codependent. They was codependent and it meshed with each other's lives. She basically, after stabbing a friend, they kicked her out the house and she had to go back into the system in 8th grade. So they didn't even live together for that long, but because the sister had so many issues too, it's not that hard to just become codependent on each other and each other's traumas and issues and shit like that. So like throughout the movie, we see that she transitioned her codependency from her sister, and she attached it to the thing that connected her and her sister, Nija. And she just like, she's been having this fascination with blood since the story of her living with her grandmother as a child and the spilt milk and it was red. And, you know, hitting whatchamacallit in the head the first night when she went to the boyfriend's house and stuff like that. And just like this fascination with murder. And I like that scene. So after the funeral, the family wouldn't let her in to see, they wanted her to leave. So that's where I was. So she was adopted by them. She stabbed some girl in the neck. They kicked her out the house. They didn't want to have nothing to do with her. So her and the sister still stayed connected. And the sister moved in with her and they lived together and they were codependent. Then the sister died. She tried to go to the funeral. The family's like, no, you need to leave. I'm glad she didn't cause a ruckus at the funeral. So she left. And then she went to the boyfriend's house, the girl's boyfriend house. And then she was just like sitting there, just calm as a cucumber, just not talking, barely saying shit, just like, I didn't know what she was. I thought she was about to fuck this nigga. Like, is she gonna have sex with him? What's because I didn't know this was like a serial killer movie show. Like at first I was just like, oh look, she about to fuck, and we're gonna see her journey as she spirals into this obsession over this girl. I had no idea she was going on a killing spree. And so this nigga's sitting there crying, talking about why he didn't go to the whatchamacallit and the funeral and all this other stuff, and how he never seen a dead body before and he didn't want to go and blah blah blah. I was just like, okay nigga, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. You ain't seen a double dead body, you don't want to see one. It is what it is. So anyways, he gets up to get her some tea because she doesn't drink alcohol. She smokes weed, doesn't drink alcohol. It's a vibe. And so he gets her some tea, and she just come up and smack him in the back of the head with some statue rock situation that was in his mama house. And then she just go to town on this nigga like and it reminded me of the Ted Bundy movie. And I was like, she playing this part like them white serial killers, but she's adding a little sprinkle of neurodivergency on it and shit, like of Mice and Men. No, is it Mice and Men? It's the story where they were the criminals, and then one of the criminals was like this huge ass nigga and he was delayed, and the other criminal was his brother, and he was trying to they were trying to get by and stuff, and this big ass nigga just kept killing people, and so he had to kill his brother cause he kept killing people and stuff, but he had this delay, so it was like, I don't know if his brother got it was a lot. And she playing it like that nigga part, and I'm just like, and she hitting him and I'm just like there was this scene in one of the Ted Bundy movies that I watched a long time ago where the character that played Ted Bundy, he was sexually assaulting one of his victims, and like when he was about to have an orgasm, he just started screaming and screaming and screaming, and I was like, the fuck is wrong? And she played it like that, and I was just like, this bitch is wild. That shit was amazing. I was just like, she started screaming and hyperventilating, and then she started laughing, and it was just like, she described it as the best feeling ever. It's like euphoric. And I just was like, maybe being a serial killer is kind of like, it gives you that same feeling as when you like pop the package, the packaging things are peel paint. It's just applied to like bones breaking and smush of the organs and blood and shit. I don't know, because I feel like it's the same thing, but it's like an extreme version of it where you're hurting people and shit. Like, that's what I feel. Oh my gosh. And so she's just like having this euphoric, like hyperventilating moment, and it's just a lot. And then we see the next episode and she goes off to be a stripper in some other country town. I think it's Tennessee. There you go. And so she goes to be a stripper in Tennessee, and this is her cover. We don't know what she's there for, because she's been like following the Hive situation on Twitter and following like people that have been talking shit about Nyjah. And then you realize that she's looking for these niggas. So she's at the strip club, and at first I didn't really get it. I was like, oh, she's following this nigga. Oh, she doesn't like what he says about Nyjah. Oh, okay, well, at first I didn't get it. But then she's at the strip club, right? And she's talking to this dude. Like, she's dancing all awkwardly to only Nyjah songs. And it's just like, because they're slow and some of them are empowerment songs, and that doesn't go in the strip club. Niggas want to bop, and they want to see some titties and some ass bop too. And bop, bop. And so, like, she's like talking to this dude and asking this dude where his friend was, and he was just like, fuck him, I'm here. And she's like, nigga, fuck you. And so she walks off. And so she's living out of the motel room, and I guess like she's stealing money, or no, she's making money as a stripper, so she hasn't started like stealing money yet. And this white girl just attaches herself to her. Why people be doing that? Like, I notice, like when you're black, especially a black woman, especially like white women, they just be like, I don't know what it is, but they just be attaching themselves to you. You can be sitting there acting normal, not doing that. Here they come being overly nice and weird, and it's weird. So the bitch finds her hotel room, wants to stay in the girl, let it immediately foot to the chest. Like, no, you're not staying in my fucking shit. And so she go back with the girl to her house to pick up, to drop. I guess she thought she was gonna drop her off or whatever. And so we meet her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's, abusive and all this other shit. So the girls show up at her, like, she dropped the girl off and then leave when they fighting. And then the girl, like, she get back to her hotel room and a girl is already in her fucking room. Like, the audacity. So she takes it to the extreme. Instead of dragging this bitch out by her hair and then just living about her life. She takes it to the extreme. She goes, kills the boyfriend. And then the girl show up. The girl is all hype about it. She's like, yeah, we gonna be like the Black Bonnie and Clyde. But she thinks this is an adventure. No, sweetheart, boyfriend had a gun. She pops this bitch in the forehead, and then she digs a hole for both of them, and then she leaves. And white bitch supposed to be the driver for the other dancers, and they're supposed to go do a home visit. Home dance situation, and they go into this white fraternity situation and be dancing. And then she was just sitting there eating. She was supposed to be the designated driver. She's sitting there eating and chilling and whatever in the fuck. And so she's sitting in this room eating and chilling and whatever in the fuck. And this dude coming there talking about, I'm not like those dirty guys out there. And I'm just like, why is he using the word dirty? If you ain't trying to fuck nobody, then just do not fucketh. And then I'm just like, he's getting closer to her, talking about, you're not like those dirty girls either, are you? And I'm just like, oh, what time is it? And she's sitting there just like, I ain't fucking nobody. And he was like, can I just like jack off to you? And I'm just like, I mean, she made $1,000. I mean, he wanted to give her 100. She asked for $1,000. This nigga said, oh, okay. She was like, okay, shit. She sat there, ate her little lollipop while this nigga jacked off, and it was a time. It was a time. Anyways, they leave, and then they end up popping a tire on the way back. So this dude picks him up, and it so happens to be the dude she been looking for, the dude that was talking shit about Nyjah on the internet. And so they go to his house, and he seemed nice, in person. He one of them internet trolls that's nice in real life, kind of, sort of, but be talking shit online. So inside they're actually trash. So they all go in the house and he fixed a tire and she's just saying weird shit like, oh, you didn't like Niger. And everybody's just looking at her like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? And so they about to leave and she just couldn't stand it. She just could not let it go. She went back in the house, grabbed a pot, and was looking for this nigga to kill him. And then he came up behind her, started choking her, and the other bitches came in and started beat his ass. And while they was beating his ass, this bitch left him there. And I said, I was just like, this bitch left him in a clutch, and I'm just like, I don't know, like, I don't know. Nigga probably had cameras. I don't know, because if they had cameras in the house, they would have seen who this bitch was, and they wouldn't have been talking about, we don't know who she did it in the episode, the true crime episode. And so this bitch leaves them, and then we go to the next episode, and she basically is killing more niggas that's talking shit about Nigel on Twitter. So she's killing niggas and shit that talk shit about Niger, and she's on this road trip going across country, killing this nigga in his mansion and killing this white woman and shit like that. And then she meet this nigga that's a backstage person. Oh, she didn't kill the white woman. She met the nigga that was a backstage person for Niger's concert or her husband concert or whatever. Niger marries like some Jay-Z like nigga and shit. And so she meets the dude, and then she get friendly. I think the dude got a little bit of the autism and shit, the way he was just kind of like, he wasn't scared that she climbed in the window, and he was just, the way that he spoke, and just, I feel like he had a little bit of this other spectrum stuff too. And the way that they was fucking with that food, I was just y'all talking about Chloe scene and shit. I'm like, fuck that. They was just, y'all act like y'all never seen niggas have sex before. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? I'm looking at this nigga like, she let a strange bitch. Niggas be thinking with their penises. I swear, like, niggas don't be scared to be murdered. Women immediately, we not doing no shit like niggas kill us. Men don't think they can be murdered by a bitch and nothing can happen. So she's staying up in his house. It's nighttime. He gonna take her to this little DJ event the next day and shit. I don't know. Like, is she supposed to live with you from now on? Like, nigga just took you in and shit. I'm confused. So she's staying at his house, right? And like, she got up to get some chips or some shit, and she was eating the chips. And this nigga was like, "You could have some." He said, "You could have some." She gonna come around the counter and shit in his mouth, and then they started fucking it with the food and rubbing the food all on each other. It was fucking weird. And I was just like, what's happening? What is this? She woke up in a fucking pile of chips and oils and so they get to the party, and this bitch locked this nigga in the freezer. See Nigel's sister, follow her out, and then see Nigel. This bitch gonna go up and bite Nigel. I was just like, apparently it's based off some story that Tiffany Haddish told about Sanaa Lathan biting Beyonce or some shit. Why are we biting people? What's wrong with y'all? These are just humans. These are human beings. Just calm yourself, because as a fellow human, if people were acting like that around me, that shit would drive me batshit insane. Like, what's wrong with y'all? And I was just like, she bit that bitch, and then she ran I'm sorry. So then she ended up going to the concert. So it's a year later. She got the tickets for her sister's birthday. So she ended up going to the concert, or on her way to the concert. She get pulled over by the police, and the police, being a nigga, and want to follow her to her destination. And she get to the gas station, and this white woman basically diverts the police, and she end up at this midsummer retreat with these white women. And Billie Eilish is there. This is like some fever fever dream. Like, I had a dream last night that I was at some midsummer, like, women's retreat, and Billie Eilish was there, and she was pretending to be a therapist, but she wasn't. And this bitch this is why I be telling people that for some things, for some mental health illnesses and problems and issues, you need to see a licensed professional therapist. I was sitting there like, why are you hypnotizing this bitch? And she got like some kind of like delusions and shit, and some kind of like fixation and obsession and shit. Like, what are you doing? So she hypnotized the bitch. So every time she snapped, the bitch don't tell her the truth about herself. So the bitch tell her that she on some killing spree and she killed everybody and she murdering motherfuckers, and Billie Eilish is just like, you're a warrior. And I'm just like, we don't encourage. We don't like that's a rule. We don't encourage psychosis. Like, when people come in and they see it and hearing things, and they obviously got some kind of like psychosis issue. Like, I believe in spirituality. I believe in spirits, but you know when somebody got some shit going on. We don't encourage the delusions, because if you encourage the delusions, they'll sink deeper into the delusions. We have to slowly work them out of that. And medication helps to do that. And then therapeutic work helps them to stay there and shit like that. Gives them the coping skills so that they can stay in that place where their delusions and their dreams of grandeur and, hallucinations and will slowly recede, and so I'm just sitting here like, why are you encouraging this behavior? This isn't therapy. You're encouraging. This is not the bitch you think she is. You've been around these white bitches and that one mixed bitch too long. Like, you think she's just gonna spill her secrets and have this emotional breakthrough and cry a little bit, and then she's gonna I'm guessing, I thought they were just gonna all go on a killing spree. Like, at first I thought it was really midsummer, and these white women were gonna take her and go on a killing spree with her because they're crazy too. And I was just like, wait a minute. But no, she's like sitting here having these pseudo therapy sessions and shit, hypnotizing this bitch, making this bitch admit to stuff. And then what? What are you going to do after she admits to stuff? What's the coping skill? Oh, she has to stay there with you, and you're going to take her phone so she can miss her fucking fixation concert. That wasn't smart. They didn't know what they had. Like, people like that, you don't do that. That's not how we work with people. And that's why you go to real therapists. When you have real problems. Shit. And you need to learn coping skills to deal with those real fucking problems. Like, So she ran them over with her car. And killed them all. Well, most of them. I'm guessing a good portion of them, because when they did the true crime episode, they didn't call the police. That wasn't on the record that, she killed 6 bitches. That wasn't on there. So I'm assuming. So anyway, she rides off, can't get into the concert because she late. I didn't know they closed the gate at a certain time. Wow. Anyway. And then we meet her family. She goes back to her hometown. This bitch is just killing and then visiting and vacationing and murdering. Just doing everything. Like, I just be wondering, like, these serial killers, they getting caught on their own volition because they get cocky and they fuck up. Like, why you running on stage at a concert? Niggas gonna catch you, bitch. And so, like, she goes back to her family home, where her foster home, and it's just sitting up in the house all day chilling. She mad because this nigga turned off the phone. She didn't have Melissa's phone the whole time. She wants this nigga to turn the phone back on. He refuses. He comes home with his shotgun, AK-47, whatever the fuck it was, and I mean, like, if he took her out, I wouldn't have been mad. It probably would have saved some lives, especially that poor little light-skinned woman's life at the last. She deserved that, but at the same time, there were so many red flags, but you never expect to end up murdered and burned. You never expect that. So She ends up going to her parents. She's at the parents' house. And the nigga she's staying there all day, sleeping and eating and showering and washing her clothes, all the stupid shit. And this thing come home, and she like go to the mom first with the gun. There was a gun upstate up there's Texas. Apparently they have a myriad of guns in the home. Plethora. So she go in the room with the mom, and she like turn the phone on. Mom just sitting there cold as a cucumber, just like, I'm not turning it. That's not on me. You deal with your dad. You deal with Harold or whatever the fuck his name was. And then Harold come up with the gun behind the bitch, about to blow her fucking head off. I'm saying if he had took her out, it probably would have saved some lives. I'm just. Some people can't be healed. Okay, like some people like cannot work through their problems and get to a happier space. Some people, you just have to take them out and shit because they're going on a killing spree and murdering everybody across the fucking country that doesn't like Niger. So they do a chase. She brave bitch threw something at him and diverted the gun. Like, I was just like, had to fucking roll running like this with the roll. I was just like, how is that gonna stop a bullet? Like, the bullets, it's gonna splay. It's one of those splatter bullets and shit. And run upstairs to her sister's room, lock herself in there, and like somehow escapes, gets out, jumps off the roof. I don't know if she sprained, broke, whatever, but she limped away, and the nigga let her go. He's shooting holes in his cars and all sorts of shit, and I'm just like, okay. And she gets away. So we kind of talked about the episode where there was a true crime situation and they chose the real people, and the detective was magical. So we hear her little backstory situation and where she come from and why she did some of the shit she did. So we end up in the last episode, and I was just like, so she's a stud now. So through this whole thing, and I read an article, like one of the writers of the show, one of the showrunners or whatever, was talking about how they wanted to limit her relationship to sex. They wanted to make it so that she isn't turned into some like sexual being, because that's how black women are seen, especially darker skinned black women and things like that. She wanted to purposely create this awkwardness around sex for her, and I feel like it speaks to mental health too, because if you're not good with socializing, and if you possibly have reactive attachment disorder and sociopathy and things like that, then why would you be able to also be intimate with other people or know what intimacy is? Or if someone's all up in your face, you supposed to move towards them if you want to kiss them and shit like that. Like, I don't think she wanted to kiss that nigga, I'm just saying. So at some point, and this is like the second year, so she's been on some rampage killing niggas for 2 years. At some point she's learned enough to walk around and act kind of normal, like everyone else around her, basically. And so now she's a stud. Now, there was rumblings in the true crime episode that she may have been in a romantic, maybe sexual relationship with, Chloe. And I mean, it could have, but it's like, I feel like it was more of a sisterly bond. And even if they did, it's like when you mistake sex for companionship, and like you have sex with somebody, but it's not because you see them as a romantic partner. It's just another way to be closer to them and absorb them into your world. So doing things like kissing her scars gently and things like that, and laying up in bed together and stuff like that. It's just a part of being more connected with each other in a more intimate way. And sometimes during that, people will have sex. I hope that it's weird. So I would not be surprised if there was not at least one or two or some moments where they were more intimate with each other, but I didn't get the vibe that they were in like some kind of relationship situation or anything like that. like exploring each other or doing things like that, but not necessarily like seeing each other in romantic ways. And so, she wasn't really like feeling dudes, like even though there were the awkward moments where dudes would be like trying to talk to her or get up in her face and it would be weird and shit like that. She would just stand there and look awkward, like she wouldn't know what the fuck, making these weird facial expressions because she had poor facial affect in these situations. She didn't know what kind of thing to do with this person. And so with Nyjah, I feel like Nyjah would be more of like in her mind, like a motherly or sisterly figure, but I could also see that companionable intimacy like feeling as well for her. Just you're overpowered with emotion, so everything is lit up, even your sexual stuff is lit up. And so when she comes out and she's a stud and she's able to hold this mask of normalcy for longer periods of time than she was in the other episodes, it makes me think that she's been practicing. So she's been practicing how to be like regular in front of people. And also, she may be a lesbian, she may not. I don't know. Because she has this weird relationship with sex and intimacy. She may, I don't know. I don't know what her relationship to sex and intimacy is. She meets this girl. So not having her phone though has helped a lot because it's taken her away from her fixation, so much so that she can develop other parts of her personality. So this second year has given her time to develop other parts of her personality. And so that also makes sense as to why she seems to have more of a personality when she's a stud. And maybe all this time she was into girls and she was, her and her sister person were intimate and, but like just the way she interacts sexually with people or intimately with people, it just seems so off that I would label her more as queer. Cause I don't know, and she don't know, and so we don't know. So hi here, editing Jasmine again. Something else to consider is sexual abuse can also blur the lines between what is, proper intimacy, platonic intimacy with somebody versus improper platonic intimacy. So proper platonic intimacy is, we may sit up in the bed together, or we may sit close to each other while we're looking at each other's phones, and we things like that, or give each other hugs. Improper intimacy is you may take it to a sexual place and not realize that that's an improper thing to do as well. So that could influence the companionable intimacy that may have developed between the two sisters, possibly. I don't know for sure 100% though, but it don't seem like it's just completely that she's into girls. Like this girl seemed more like she was lighter skinned, kind of looked like her sister. So Chloe ain't like light like that, but like she's a lighter brown, and so she was lighter skinned, kind of looked like her sister. She really liked her. She wanted to like be in a, like this was real, like, because you just have to wait and see when she be doing stuff, because it seems like she's gonna do one thing, like, oh, she came over to her sister's boyfriend's house, maybe they're gonna fuck, like, who knows, and then she bashed his fucking head in 20 times. So it's the same with this. I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. Like, is she another bitch that was talking shit about Nyjah? Like, was she? Lo and behold, the bitch don't like Nyjah. She's telling the bitch over and over again she don't like Nyjah. She let this bitch. She introduced this bitch to her family after a month. I felt types of ways, like, why this bitch come around with 3 or 4 different cars every time you see her for a whole month. She's in between jobs, so she's not paying any bills. She's just, doing her own thing. I mean, there's so many red flags. None of these red flags to say that this bitch is crazy. She's going to kill me. She's going to murder me and then burn my body. But it was a lot. Like, it was so many. I wouldn't have talked to her. I wouldn't have gotten a ride from this bitch. I wouldn't have been involved. I'm not, no, cause you never know what it's gonna turn out to be. See, it seems simple, like some simple fuckboy shit, some hobosexual sleeping on the couch, ain't got a job shit. And then she ended up murdered, strangled to death, and burned and buried in the woods. So you never know what it's gonna turn into. That's what I'm saying. So from jump, it's immediately no. And so like they vibing together for a little bit, but then the bitch started getting tired of her. And it's not that she's gradually getting tired of her. I think it's, but she has been. When they had that final argument, she was saying like, I'm tired of this and I'm tired of that. I'm tired of you being on my couch and not having a job. And then all of a sudden you want to buy me these Niger tickets. I don't like that bitch. I told you I don't like that bitch. These tickets were probably $4,000. We could have did any other thing. You could have threw that money down the toilet. I would have been happier. But no, you got me this. I like her sister, the Solange bitch, and you could have did that. But no, instead, if listening to me, you bought these fucking tickets, and I'm just like, oh, she up in her face. Cause we know the bitch got some stuff going on, okay? But this bitch don't know the bitch got stuff. I'm just like, get out of her face. Get out of her face. The bitch, and then the bitch put on the like the her face just droop. And I'm just like, oh, she about to kill this hoe. What's happening? And she do it in the most fucked up way. She just walk up to the bitch and put her hands around her throat and choke the bitch. I'm just like, this was a roller. This was a lot. She was. She's a lot. Like, she is a lot. She did a good fucking job. Love it. Love it. Good job. And so she chokes her, and she just is like, she did. And I know I said crazy a couple times, and I'm just like, my definition of crazy for the people that have been watching for a while. When you are indiscriminately hurting people with not even yourself, because it's like you can be depressed and self-harm and do all you working through your shit. When you are indiscriminately spreading the trauma and hurting others with no remorse, no regret, no reason to not do it again, and then you just keep doing it again, that's crazy. Like, you like some Jeffrey Dahmer shit. Like, you just out here killing and hurting motherfuckers for and there's no fixing it. There's nothing we can do for this person. And some people are like that. Everything is on the spectrum, so you have to say that there is an extreme of that spectrum of people that cannot be healed. It is what it is. Like, and them people are crazy, because those people go out there and keep hurting people and abusing people and sometimes even killing people, and they don't give a fuck. Like, they don't. And when you encounter those people, you have to be okay with the knowledge that they don't give a fuck. Tis editing Jasmine, and something I wanted to note. I might do a few of these just because I wanted to. There's so much in this show that I'm just like, Something else I wanted to note is that the trauma for Dre never stopped. So it's not like she got a healing eventually and the people took care of her and she got, extensive therapeutic treatment. She was in foster care, and those kids are supposed to be seeing therapists, but she may have not. And she went to this home and she was bullied, and then the family kicked her out, and then she just continued to be in the system. So she never had a chance to heal. So that's why it's like you get to a certain point where there may not ever be a chance to heal, and that's what I was saying. Like, sometimes there is no fixing, there is no healing, there is no changing a person when they are so lost in their trauma that they cannot see a way out. And this is not everybody. Everybody with reactive attachment disorder, everybody with trauma, everybody with autism, they're not going to turn into sociopaths, okay? This was an extenuating circumstances of consistent trauma that never stopped throughout this child's life. And even when she found peace, it was like she had to hold on to it for dear life, because every time she had peace, it was snatched from her, until it became an obsession to never let go of her peace and to never let anyone or anything destroy or make fun of or talk about or mess with the things that represented her peace. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people, like, oh, I believe they can be healed, and I believe they can. When they get to that level, honey, they ain't gonna be healed. They don't want to heal. They don't want to do nothing. They just want to keep. She's addicted to blood and her delusions that she's made up in her head to cope with all her trauma. She's closed the door on the possibility of healing. Like that whole episode with Billie Eilish and the fake therapy and shit like that. That bitch went deep. She went deep, and they was going deep, and she could have fixed it, and they was trying to keep her there with them and show her love and all this other shit. And it's like, no, she ran them hoes over. These people don't care. And when they go to therapy, what they do is they manipulate the therapist if they're not trauma based, and they will sit there and then blame everybody and their mama for all their problems, and the therapist will just be like, you sound like you have so many toxic people around you. You need to get away from those toxic people. And it's like, no. The common denominator is the client. Why aren't you asking what the client contributed to those problems in their relationships? I'm just, whatever, Nick. So yes, I categorize that as crazy because you can't stop it. It's going to keep going, unless you put them in jail. So I don't know what. Yes, everybody else out here just surviving and trying. But once you start spreading that shit to other people and indiscriminately with no remorse or regrets, something's wrong with you. Just like something was wrong with Dre. Something's wrong with her. Ain't nothing to do. Like, autistic people aren't going to just go out there and hurt people. No, that's autistic mixed with a comorbidity of antisocial disorder. The autism just makes them more fixated on their delusions. And the delusions seem more real instead of like, oh, I can talk Ted Bundy out of his delusion and he would eventually admit that this was not okay. Versus somebody that has autism and sociopathy. No, this is the sky is red. What are you talking about? Don't you see? Look out the and that's all it is. Like, people that have autism are not gonna they're not emotionless. They're not gonna like they have empathy and care for others. It's just different. They just express and take in those emotions differently, but they understand things. Now, this person had sociopathy along with some kind of either autism or even reactive attachment disorder. You aren't guaranteed to end up with some personality disorder just because you have reactive attachment disorder. You're not guaranteed to harm others. People that get help and services, at some point in their lives can reverse a lot of the effects of a reactive attachment disorder, and there's healing that can be done for that. But, some people don't. Some people, there is not enough healing in the world that will make them better, and it is what it is. And, Dre is one of them people. If they somehow make the storyline to where she just goes to therapy and like, nah, nigga, like the way she played this character, you just gotta accept that some people are not gonna turn it back. They don't even know that there's a back to turn. And even when you tell them there's a back to turn, that sounds fake to them. That sounds like you go to Skid Row and tell somebody about the $1 million suitcase that you saw on the ground one day, and they just looking at you like something's wrong with you. Like, no, there is no. So she ended up killing this girl. Poor girl. She didn't deserve that. She just wanted somebody to love. Yeah, she chose the wrong person, and there was obvious signs that she chose the wrong person. But ain't nobody expecting to die just because you chose the wrong person. The bitch ain't abused her. She ain't hit her. She just ain't listening to her. So, and she's a homosexual. She ain't got a job. She ain't doing nothing. So she kills her. Then she goes to the next Niger concert. She had left because she had bought the girl tickets for her birthday or Valentine's Day or whatever day it was, and the girl didn't want it. Like I said earlier, I want to see Solange, bitch. And so she had burnt the tickets too with the girl. So she ended up killing some dude in the parking lot and taking his tickets. I'm just like, you killing and maiming and like And then she gets to the concert, get up to the stage. I don't know how she ends up on the stage. Like, there's not bodyguards. There's that space between the stage and the people with the gate, and then there's bodyguards and stuff. I don't know how she got on the stage. I don't like watching people embarrass themselves, so I kind of fast forwarded a little bit. She got up on the stage, ran up to Nigel, and I guess she started hallucinating. And Nigel was hugging her and loving on her, and then walked her out to her car, and they sat in the car. But as we saw in the true crime episode, no, this bitch ended up in jail. And, you know, we don't know what happened after that. The detective was going to go talk to her in jail. So I'm hoping there's a season 2 so we can find out what happened when the detective talked to her in jail. But favorite parts was when she ran in white hoes. That was so fucking funny. When them niggas was fucking with food. And it was funny. I don't care. I don't. What else? What other part? What other part did I like? When she ran off on them bitches. I was just like, what is going on? So I think she has reactive attachment disorder. Because I don't know. Because there's so much trauma. And yeah, she act like she could be autistic and stuff, but like there's so much trauma, and the way that she just fell into sociopathy, I feel like it's more like she had reactive attachment disorder that developed into sociopathy after her sister died. That's my conclusion. And she went and attached herself to Nija and started killing people that didn't like Nija. And I'm just, and you know, ended up running on stage and trying to grab Nija and bit her in the face. I don't know why you would do some shit like that, but you know, and that's what I see. That's what I see here. That's what I see. So, you know, it was a lot. Like, I don't know how to parse through this movie, this show. They did that. Like, they did that. Like, this shit was scary. Like, what if I have a mental breakdown one day? Like, I don't think I would go to like sociopathy or nothing. I'd probably go to like a severe depression, like catatonic. My rock bottom, I think, would be a catatonic depression where I couldn't move and shit. You thinking about my break? That's why you go to therapy, bitch. That's why you been going to therapy and shit, just so that won't happen. What do you think your rock bottom breakdown would look like? Would it look like what she doing? Would it look like something else? Would it look like, you know, catatonic depression? What do you think about this review? Don't come for me for calling this bitch crazy. No, she doesn't have remorse or regret. She doesn't care. She is a whole different type of bitch, a whole different type of human. Okay? She don't care. She will murder you. Them white hoes tried to get her to care. She ran them over with a fucking car because they got in her fucking way. You know, and so let me know what you think of this review and show and situation, and you know, she did the damn thing. Fish burn, fish back, fish, whoever, Danielle, what's her name? What's her fucking, see, is it Danielle Fishback? Fish. Oh, Lord Jesus. I like her, though. I want to see more things by her. She's amazing. And I think she's like around, like, is she like late 20s or some shit? She looks like a child sometimes. Like a whole, like, 15-year-old. Like, Black is beautiful. Black is magical. I hope you enjoyed this review. I need to turn the camera off. Why is people gonna come and be like, you shouldn't say crazy, it's derogatory? No, the bitch was crazy. Like, she was a sociopath. You didn't see her bash them niggas' heads in like 15 times? Like, and then revel in the blood and eat pie. What do you want me to call that? She ain't depressed. She ain't anxious. She is perfectly fine doing this. She's excited about this. This is fun. She loves blood. Blood. Oh, Lord God, keep them type people away from me. Jesus. Be watching movies, be seeing shit, and be like, Lord, don't let that happen to me. God bless them, though. But don't let that happen to me, Jesus. Every car accident I see on a movie, don't let that happen to me, Jesus. And just like that, I'm going to say, don't let them motherfucking people come near me, Jesus. Them people that just indiscriminately, without remorse or regret, hurt and harm others and just keep doing it because that's their addiction. Keep them motherfuckers away from me, Jesus. Praise God. Yes. I hope you enjoyed. End each I said I was going to say session. Damn it. Let's end each video with a prayer now. Fucking sound crazy. Oh my gosh. I hope you enjoyed this video, this review. I hope it was helpful. Hope it was entertaining. Like, share, subscribe, all the magical things, and later days.